Tell them, you bring up the word just, tell them why only and just are such incredibly dangerous words.
I like to use examples on that. If you would have gotten into Quest, are you developing only a bar? Developing just a bar? I mean, you're dealing with accounts, okay? I just lost one sale. Okay? Everything matters. If you take any situation and just take the word only and take the word just out of it, it changes the whole phrase. It's just a game. It's a game. It's only a job. If you feel like this isn't only a job, before this interview is up, I advise you to get up and leave right now. Because there's somebody else who'll fill this seat up and take that job and turn it into a career. Be careful of those words, trap words. I'm just going to smoke one cigarette. That shows you their preparation from a mental standpoint of how weak they really are.
If you could have what you needed and wanted, what would it be? What sort of friends would you have? What would your family relationships look like? How would you conduct yourself with your children? How would you educate yourself? You need to think through how it is that your life could be properly arranged if you had that ability. And then you can aim at that. And the funny thing is that if you do posit a goal of that sort and work towards it, you will move towards it. The goal will change because you'll learn things along the way.
Raise the rest of your life to meet you. Don't search for defining moments because they will never come. The moments that define you have already happened, and they will already happen again. And it passes so quickly. So please bring each other along with you.
Unless you love your game, somebody else who loves it more is going to work harder and smarter and beat you. Please understand that self-awareness and patience are the foundation of a happy, successful business, and they are words that are not being talked about at all. I want people to love their game the way I love it, not get the accolades or success that I have, because the happiness is way more fun than the byproduct. And I know a ton of people who are unbelievably happy and make $49,000 a year, and I know an enormous amount of people who are deeply unhappy and sick who make $7 million a year.
There's this thing people think that, like, I'll be happy when? Once I get like this big amazing home, or once I get this car, or once I get this relationship or an amount of money, then I'll allow myself some happiness. The problem is the finish line always moves. You never arrive there, right? The other part is people think, well, if I enjoy myself now, I'm gonna lose my drive. In other words, if I can just wire myself with enough pain all the time, I won't lose my drive or ambition. The truth is there's no correlation between the two at all. There's no relationship between you feeling complete pain all the time and losing drive. And so I talk about living in a state of blissful dissatisfaction. And really the best example of that would be like if you've ever, I love a good meal, right? You know, if I bite into a great piece of steak, if you're a steak eater like I am, you take that first bite, it's like complete bliss, right? There's no correlation between how great that tasted and your lack of desire for the next bite. In fact, that bliss causes you to want more of it. And so the more we can begin to reward ourselves with bliss, we're not gonna lose our dissatisfaction. We're not gonna lose that. And so for me, our brains, this dopamine hit you get when you do something successful, if you constantly cheat yourself out of that hit, right, biomechanically in your body, less and less in the future will you want to achieve the next level, the next dream, the next step. And that's why so many people stall out in life. They got to a certain point and they cheated themselves out of the bliss, out of the celebration. It's important that we celebrate our wins. We celebrate our lives because it causes us to want the next bite. It keeps us hungrier, not the reverse. And so for me, I want to live in a state of being grateful and blissful now, not waiting for some future place or date that may never arise. So that's what it means for me. Joy is an actual action, not just an emotion. We feel a certain joy, there's a certain breathing, a certain movement in our body. Depression and sadness is something we do. We're more hunched over. Our breathing is more shallow, right? And so there's a correlation between the way you move your body and your emotions. They're directly, this is even before we get to dopamine hits and our nervous system being, I'm just telling you that the way you move your body is an emotion. You do emotion. You gotta ask yourself, how important is it to you to grow? Because you were put on earth to grow, to contribute, to serve, to help. You were in your way. And the current version of you is perfect as it stands right now, but that version of you isn't sufficient next year. You gotta be crazy, hungry, crisis to get to that next version of you.
If you want to produce unreasonable results in your life, like living your dream and taking charge of your destiny, you've got to be an unreasonable person. You've got to be an uncommon person. You don't know how you're going to make this happen, but you just feel within yourself some way, somehow, I'm going to make it happen. See, when you make a commitment, I'm going to become wealthy, when you make it important, when you decide I'm going to do it no matter what, life changes for you. See, most people don't keep their commitments to their commitments. That's why they lead lives of poverty, lives of misery, lives of unhappiness. Socrates said the uncommitted life isn't worth living. So part of what you must do, whatever commitment, whatever covenant you make with God while you're here, to go back to be a better father, to go back to make a difference in the community, to go back to change your life, to decide not to ever to use drugs or alcohol again, to decide that you're going to begin to recreate yourself, that you're going to be reborn to a new state of consciousness. Whatever commitment that you make, keep your commitment to your commitment. No matter what. If it's hard, then do it hard. But keep your commitment to your commitment.
Everyone sees the work that you put in, but it's what you don't see is going to determine how far you're going to get. I hear stuff all the time. People say, oh, look in the mirror and you'll see why you're not succeeding. I don't believe that, okay? It's what you don't see in the mirror. That's what's holding you back. It's what you're not willing to see is why talent is not enough. And when you finally see it and accept it and decide to work on it, then you can take that next level. It's my job to deliver, because if I don't deliver, okay, not only will the last call not happen, that phone will not ring again, because I'm only as good as the last delivery that I've done. And that's how everybody needs to think. You can't talk about what you did 5 years ago. You can't talk about the deal that you closed last week. Okay? You can't talk about your sales for last month. Okay? Those things are expected of you.
So every day you have to sell yourself and get out of your mind those old thoughts, that old belief system. Every day you've got to sell yourself on that it's possible. That you got to put a new mind in you. You got to get out of your mind. You got to begin to restructure your thinking. Every day you've got to begin to recondition your mind.
He said, you got to be hungry. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, people that are hungry are willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. People that are hungry are willing to invest in themselves. People that are hungry will go to seminars and workshops. People that are hungry are always searching, always seeking higher ground. So how do you want to make it? I said, I want to be a disc jockey. He says, good. Here's what to do. He said, I want you to read 10 to 15 pages of something positive every day. He said, you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. You must program yourself to success. He said, I want you to listen to Earl Nightingale and Zig Ziglar. Listen, faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. He said, I want you to change your relationships. And I don't want you to ever lose your hunger. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, people that are hungry are unstoppable. People that are hungry are no matter what people. They make it happen no matter what.
Expectation shows up in behavior. See, I can tell what you expect by what you do. That's why the Bible says, judge a tree by the fruit it bears, not the fruit that it wants, not the fruit that it talks about, not the fruit that it claims, but by what you are doing. See, what you do when you leave here, when the music stops, When the shouting dies down, your behavior, how you conduct yourself, writing your goals down, deciding to enroll in school to get a GED, deciding to sit into class with children young enough to be your grandchildren, decide to find some product, some idea, some service that you can provide so that you can begin to create some value for yourself so you can create wealth. You must be willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have.